Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I thought I'd take you with me in the studio and I wanted to have a little chat with you. I literally just came back from Berlin Super Booth where I met many of you, but also many amazing musicians and producers and fellow creators. And it's really funny, I found that many times when I talk to creators and producers and people that we are on the same wavelength, I find that sometimes we end up talking a lot about things, small things and bigger things that make a huge difference in our everyday workflow, how much more enjoyable and practical our lives are in the studio. So for this video, I decided to compile a list of 15 things that have really changed, transformed, helped my life in the studio day in, day out. And this list is going to range from really small, affordable items to some bigger items that have really made a difference in my studio life. It's gonna be loads of fun, so let's get started. The first item in the list is going to be a peculiar one, but I told you I'm going to give you all the tools that I use every single day. And this is this Hoto blower vacuum cleaner, like handheld vacuum cleaner. This I use all the time in the studio. I hate dust. I like to keep my studio clean, so this is one of these little items. It's not cheap, to be honest with you, but I've tried many of them. I've also tried some random Amazon one. This is actually quite good, the I Do. They all do the same job. They can blow air, but they can also do some vacuuming if you want to. I found after trying many of them, and I had more of them than this one, the cheaper ones don't do a great job. This one is really, really powerful. So it can really just clean up all the little spaces between your gear, your synths, your keys in your synths, and you can also just vacuum some dust when it builds up. So this one is not really cheap, as I said, but I found many times if you buy cheap, you buy twice, you buy 3 times, 4 times. I mean, this was good, but this is even better. The next thing that has completely, and I mean completely changed my life in the studio is the Black Panther system stands. And this is something that I never knew I would need until I kind of finally gave up with my existing stands. These stands, they're just right behind me here. They're simply phenomenal. They're just pure, amazing German engineering. They're very easy to build, but they're completely customizable. So when I got in touch with them, I asked, okay, I have a Montage M8X, that's really heavy. I also have an OB6, I also have a Sub 37, and they basically send me some configurations that allows me not only to have all these keyboards on top of each other, and it's pretty stable, that's the other thing that I love, but there's a lot of space for pedals, for additional gear. I have my machina right there, but also I have another tray right there that doesn't take any space on the floor, and right there I have sometimes my laptop when I do sound design and I want to have my laptop right there. I have drum machines, I have pedals. It's so nicely laid out. There's room for a power supply in the back, so I cannot say enough good things about it. Actually, I'm going to replace the stand behind me, that's one of the old stands, with the Black Panther system stands. I know keyboard stands are not the sexiest thing to get excited about, but trust me, once I built those, I couldn't believe how I used to live without them. And quite honestly, this was word of mouth. I've talked to many different keyboard players, creators, and studio owners, and they told me that they are amazing. But when I was checking them on the website, I thought, are they gonna be able to hold all these instruments? And I can tell you, they do, and they do this just perfectly. Sticking with synths, one of the items on this list that's really affordable, but it took me a while to get a hold of it because it was always out of stock, was this brush, which is great for your synths, but also for your analog gear. This is a brush designed by Beifaco or something. Anyway, I got it from Thomann, and I have to say, this is a beautiful brush. I have many brushes for my synths, but this is actually really nice because it's very, I don't know if you can hear that. It's very gentle, so I don't worry that I'm going to damage any equipment. And you know, I also use it for my analog gear as well, but it's beautiful because it's really wide. You can actually go and start dusting your synths. Really affordable, and of course you can have any other brush, but I found that this one works quite well for the price. The next thing that has completely changed my life in the studio for the past, I don't know, 2.5 years that I've been using it is, of course, my desk. And this is the studio desk Dominator. This desk has literally changed the way that I work. It has made everything so much easier for me, incorporating analog gear, having bigger monitors, having a big screen, having all the tools that I need without having to really worry about desk real estate, having my keyboard at the right height, being able to switch from production to mixing and mastering. This is just a dream of a desk, and I've made a video about this if you want to check it out. By the way, none of these products in this video are sponsored. No company is sponsoring this video. It's just things that I use day in, day out. But for me, the Dominator is just an amazing desk, and it's really hard to outgrow it, which is what I found with most of my previous desks, even when I used to use Arguses and stuff like this. The next item on my list is something that I get asked about all the time. Many people come to the comment section and ask me, hey Dom, how do you connect all these pieces of gear and use them inside Cubase? And the number one item that I use is the Flock Audio Patch. This is a digital patch bay where you can plug all your analog gear into it, and then you can route them exactly how you want. The great thing is that it has an app where you can load it as a plugin in Cubase, and what I do is when I do a mastering or when I'm doing a mix, I load the plugin, I set up my chain exactly how I want it. For example, maybe I have a vocal and I want to run it through the tube tech, and then followed by, I don't know, the LA2A with a distressor or anything like this. And then when you reopen the project, this patch bay is going to be recalled with all the settings. I don't have one single patch cable in my studio because I'm using only patch bays that can do this for me in the easiest way possible. So Flock Audio Patch, it's a little 1U unit, and then you have breakout cables in the back where you can plug in all your gear. You see it there, it's inconspicuous, you don't know what it does, but it actually does a lot of work in the studio. The next item that I started using recently, and honestly, I don't know why nobody made something like this up to this point, is this one. This is the SS6 stereo input switcher by Franklin, and this is made in Australia. This little box has changed my life. It has made my life so much easier in the studio. Basically, what this unit is, it's a DI box, which means that you can get rid of ground loops, you can transform a signal from unbalanced to balanced. And the clever thing about it is that it has 6 stereo inputs in the back. That means that you can plug 6 synths, drum machines, guitars, whatever you want, and then it can spit them out from the outputs in the back. It also has ground lift switches, so if you have still ground problems, you can just eliminate them with these switches. But the great thing is that this is a selectable DI. So that means that if I have my OB6 plugged into my slot number 1, I can just switch to slot number 1 and then I'm recording that. If I go here, I can have, let's say, my OP1, which is very noisy and it's very prone to ground loops, or my Knockout 2, or some analog drum machines. When I was creating the Modern 80s Kit Max, I recorded many analog drum machines, and they all suffered from ground loop issues and noise and all these things. So imagine I could plug all of these drum machines into these 6 stereo inputs, and then when I wanted to record them, I could just go, okay, Lindrum, okay, 808, okay, 707, okay, DMX, and so on and so forth. Some people might argue, well, you could have a mixer, but a mixer is not a DI, number 1. And number 2, if you wanted to connect all those synths at once to your audio interface, even if you have just 1 or 2 inputs on your audio interface, and then you can just switch your devices right here. Brilliant, made in Australia, love it. The next small thing that really changed my life in the studio was this little screen that I have right there. This is from a company called Arzopa. I'm not even sure, but this is a very affordable small monitor that I use exclusively for supervision, especially when I'm mixing and I'm mastering, but even when I'm producing, I always like to have my meters right there so I can see what's going on with anything that I play through Cubase. Especially when I'm producing, this is also a very good way to make sure that all the sounds that I use, maybe sometimes I get samples from different sources, that they are bang on, they don't have any face issues and all these things. I can verify this very easily. The other reason why I'm using this second monitor is when I'm composing music for films, for TV, for ads. This is a great way to be able to see what's going on in the picture and then have my main monitor to compose the music. It's a very affordable screen, and quite honestly, there isn't a reason good enough not to have a second monitor like this for your computer. This was less than 80 bucks. I'm going to try and have links for most of the things that I talk about in this video in the description. I'm going to do my best, but some of the items might be a little bit old, so I might not be able to find them. But yeah, this one, less than 80 bucks, get yourself a second monitor, it's gonna change your life. The next thing that has changed my life is the Dangerous Music Liaison. Now, this is, again, a patch bay, and this is something where you would connect multiple pieces of gear and you can create different change. The great thing with the Liaison is that it also allows you to do parallel processing. So let's say I want to do a mastering and I want to add a little bit of the black box processing, but not straight into the signal, but in a parallel fashion. I can do this even with analog gear, and this is amazing. It gives you so much power. The other great thing with the Liaison is that it has a stereo pair of inputs in the front. So if I'm testing a piece of gear, or if I have a gear for a review or for a demo, I can immediately plug it in without having to go back into the maze that's my cabling behind all my audio interface and everything. So this is great, it's really convenient, and the build quality is stellar. The next thing that I want to talk about, and again, this is something that I've been using for, I don't know, maybe the past 7 years, is my racks. And they're all made by Studio Racks apart from one of them. These are all handmade, they're built here in the UK, and they're amazing. I bought the first one, then I bought the second one, and then I bought a third one, and I think I'm gonna keep growing, but I think I'm gonna need a bigger studio if I want to add more of these. They're built so well, you can choose from real wood or you can choose veneer, and I have a combination. I don't have all of them with real wood. They're built to order, so it might take a while until they ship it to you. Sometimes it takes like a couple of weeks, but I'm fine with this because they're all handmade and it's good to support a local business. So yeah, Studio Racks, I'm going to have a link down below. I have no affiliation with them, but I'm just a very happy customer. The next thing that has completely transformed my life again is the Blackmagic Multi-Dock 10G, I think it's called. I've made a video, if you're interested, I'm going to link it right here. But basically what this is, it's a 1U unit that allows you to just slot in SSD drives. For me, this is huge because I have tons of sample libraries, instruments, and projects that I want to be able to use all the time. The great thing is that with these units, you can just plug them into your Mac or PC using one single USB-C cable, and you have access to all 4 SSDs. The great thing is, if you want to split the load, it has 2 USB outputs, so you can have 2 and 2 SSDs so that you can spread the load into 2 USB buses if you want to. Quite honestly, I've never used this function. I always plug everything in with a single USB-C cable on my Mac, and it works fantastically. I love these things so much that I have 2 of them. And the great thing is, when I'm switching between computers, so I go from my Mac Studio to my MacBook Pro or to my PC, the only thing I have to do is just plug in a single cable and all my libraries are right there. I don't have to have multiple hard drives or have multiple copies of the same things so that I can run them on several computers. So amazing. This list wouldn't be complete if I didn't mention the Crownborn Audio A.500. This is a machine that has, again, improved my life in the studio big time because I can have all my favorite 500 series modules available with ADAT, and with just 2 ADAT cables, I can use them pretty much like plugins in Cubase. It's completely transparent, it works great, I never had any issues with it. The converters are amazing, and it gives you so many options. If you want to switch between different pieces of 500 series, it's just the best way to do this, in my opinion. I have a feeling that I'm going to need a second one of those very soon. The only reason why I'm not getting one is because I will be tempted to buy more 500 series pieces, and quite honestly, I'm trying to help myself with my gear acquisition syndrome. A little bit of coffee, and actually this is one of the items that I want to talk about in this video as well. It's so silly, but to be honest with you, I use this thing every single day for the past 2 years. This is the Ember mug. It's a coffee mug that basically keeps your coffee warm. I'll say it one more time. I used all the cheap ones in the past and they were just rubbish. They were terrible, but this one actually works. If you are a coffee junkie like I am, or if you drink lots of tea like I do as well, in the studio this is a lifesaver because it really keeps your beverage warm and drinkable. Yes, it's not cheap. I got this on a sale, like an Amazon Prime Day or something like this, and it was on a sale and I just pulled the trigger. I never thought I could justify it, but I'm telling you, after 2 years of using it, I can't live without it. If I'm somewhere and I don't have this, I miss it. So yeah. Another small and affordable thing that has made a difference in the studio for me, not only in terms of practicality, but also in terms of, you know, a general mood enhancer, are these little LED lights, and they're actually quite affordable. Let me show you one of them. Like, you can buy them in bulk. I think like 5 units per box, and they're rechargeable. You can use a remote to turn them on. But what I've done, I'm using them with my Black Panther system stands, and I've basically attached them below every synth. And these are, actually I have these ones, these are also magnetic. So I have 2 types. These are RGB and these are just wide, but these are magnetic. So I can literally just go here and just attach them under the stand right here. These also have some clamps, so you can actually clamp them underneath, and they're pretty affordable actually. The remotes are a little bit cheap, I mean, for my taste, but I'm pretty sure that at some point somebody will make high quality versions of these that are also, maybe they're going to be controllable using, you know, an app or something like this. We need to have good vibes in the studio. If you like organization like I do, the next thing is so useful. It's this little label maker by a company called Neembot. They actually specialize in label makers, so that's pretty cool. Let me show you how it works. You basically turn it on, and then you grab your phone, it figures out what label you have loaded into the tray, and then you can type your label, and then you just press print. And what I like is that it has these labels right here as an option where you can wrap them around your cables, and you can tag your cables really easily, especially if you have a spaghetti monster behind your desk like I do. And now for the most expensive but really important item in this list, but I couldn't leave it out, it's the Mac Studio M2 Ultra computer. I upgraded to this machine like about a year ago, and I have to admit it's the best computer I've ever had, and I absolutely mean it. And the way I define the best computer I've ever had is number 1, power, number 2, power consumption, noise, but also how quickly I was ready to get up and running and start doing really intensive projects. With most computers I've had up to this point, even with the most high-end ones, I've always had to fight some problems. With this computer, it's been seamless. And by the way, this is not sponsored by Apple. I wish that Apple sponsored me, but honestly, I paid full price for this machine. And maybe because I know that many of you ask me all the time, I get this question on YouTube, I get this question on Instagram, why did I switch from Windows? I didn't switch from Windows. I'm still using Windows, but I'm going to make a video and explain why my main daily driver is the Mac Studio M2 Ultra. This machine has been a dream. I have connected all the peripherals that I want. It never complains. I never have any conflicts, never have any problems. I'm able to produce, mix and master in Cubase with 64 buffer size. That is unheard of up to this point, and I never switch it. Sometimes I go up to 512 if I have, I don't know, 250 channels. And also for video work, oh my gosh, it has saved me so much time that it has made up for the price in the past 6 months. So there you go, my friends. This is my list of the 15 things that have really transformed my life in the studio over the years, and I use them every single day. In the comments down below, I want you to tell me your things, small or big, that have changed your life in the studio. I'm a sucker for these things, so I really want to see what you guys are using. Maybe I can incorporate them into my studio as well. As I said, this video is not sponsored, but if you want to support the channel, you can use the super thanks button. You can join the community if you want to as well, or you can check out my instruments, my Modern 80s Kit Max and my Apollo expansion for Pad Shop, and make some great music with them. Until next time, have fun, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.